Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are back in beautiful Jersey City, New Jersey today at 150 Bay Street at Homegrown NJ. And there's a familiar face right next to me, and that is our MMA industry insider, Matt Davies. Matt, what's going on, man?
Mate, plenty, as usual. There's lots happening, but it's great to be back.
It's great to have you back. I mean, I feel like, again, we spoke about this the last time, it's the sport that never went on hiatus, so.
Yeah, it's just the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
It really, really is. So, Matt, with that said, what's new? What's new in the MMA world?
There's a lot happening, actually. We're seeing the return of Bellator,
very cool.
which is probably the second biggest promotion you'll see in the MMA world, behind the UFC. They had a lot of events planned through the first half of the year, which were all cancelled because of COVID. Obviously, it's that unknown thing that we didn't know coming into it. But like the UFC and Titan and other shows that have come back, they've found their way to come back, and they're going to be hosting a show up at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Yeah,
and it's
beautiful up there.
Well, yeah, beautiful part of the world.
Casinos are reopening everywhere. Might as well, right?
Well, that's it. That's it. So we're finding venues that can host the events. That's been one of the biggest things. The other thing that's exciting about the Bellator coming back is that they're partnering with Showtime Boxing, which is one of the first things we'll see of that, with a big name promotion partnering with another one. The exciting thing about that is it opens the doors for lots of cross promotion and other types of events. Bellator has been known in the past for hosting MMA and kickboxing combined events,
right,
where they'll have an MMA cage and a boxing ring in the same, or kickboxing ring in the same stadium on the same night. So this opens the door for boxing events to be held simultaneously, same night, same venue, with MMA.
And cross collaboration is wonderful, in my opinion, because you get the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and certainly you're going to get new viewership that way. And speaking of viewership, this is something that I look at, because I'm kind of a journalism nerd, as they say, and a broadcasting nerd. How do you feel broadcasting has changed with MMA during the pandemic, especially?
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting one, because we've seen the rise of the shows that have the good broadcasting networks, whether it's through live streaming, through things like Fight Pass and things like that,
right,
through to the shows that have the ESPN coverage, like the UFC. Shows without that pay-per-view type aspect to it, without the subscription-based viewership, haven't been able to get back up and going, because they rely so heavily on ticket sales and on their gate to raise the revenue to pay their fighters,
Absolutely,
pay their staff, things like that. So it's been such a huge thing that promotions are scrambling all over the place to try and find venues where they can actually have a crowd, no matter how big or small it is, to get people through the doors. We see at the moment, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship that we touched on in our last outing.
There's your Aussie coming out, folks.
They're having an event that was meant to be in Tampa on the 24th of this month.
And of course, COVID spiked up there, right?
COVID spiked through Florida. When they thought they were going to be able to have some sort of crowd, that availability has been taken away from them. So they're now gone over to Mississippi. So it's a change of venue, change of everything. Same date, practically the same card. The guys are still fighting, but they've had to change the entire venue in order to get that crowd through the door.
And that's so interesting, because, I mean, again, everybody thinks about the big boys in town, and really the little guys. I mean, totally off topic, but we were at a theater last week, and people were like, people are always forgetting about the arts in a pandemic like this, and in this situation, people always are forgetting about the little guy, and they're scrambling all over the place. Really fascinating stuff. So now UFC, speaking of the big dog, right? Yeah. UFC, I mean, we spoke about this the last time. They're going strong every week with different type of cards and so on and so forth. What is going on in the UFC right now?
Well, they've done
besides lots.
They've pulled off Fight Island. They've actually managed.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Look, right up until they actually built the cage, part of me didn't believe it was actually going to happen, but they've done it. They've actually managed to build the entire facility. They've had
it's almost like Olympic Village, correct?
Very much like that. Very much like that. So they've had the entire, like, the staff, the fighters, their coaches, their teams. They've been testing like crazy. They've been into like solid isolation, pre and post tests. And it's working. There's been a few cornermen that won't be able to get there and corner their fighters, which is unfortunate for them. There's been a few fighters that have had to pull out of their fights because they've tested positive for COVID. And even though their fights are still a week or 2 weeks away, they're just not taking any risks with it. If you test positive, sorry, you can't come.
And how has been the testing going? Meaning, are there fighters being testing positive for coronavirus? Because something similar is like Major League Baseball is coming up right now. Boom! The second that summer training started, you know, we're seeing all these reports of different players coming out that are testing positive for COVID-19. Is that very similar in the UFC or in any type of MMA?
It hasn't been as big as what I kind of thought it would be.
Gotcha.
Given that the gyms, particularly in Florida, a lot of these guys are coming out of Florida, and there's a lot of big
Right.
gyms down there, that you'll see a handful of people testing positive, but it doesn't seem to be going right through the whole gyms, which is, I mean, good, I suppose, because it means the events keep going. But generally, if one person tests positive, there'll be a few people from that same area that will. So that's kind of why they've just eliminated people from cards right away. The benefit to that is we're getting a lot of younger fighters that maybe would have had 3 or 4, like maybe 2 or 3 more fights before they would have got the call up to the UFC, are getting these short notice fights, and they're really making the most of it. We're seeing guys that maybe weren't quite there yet that are getting that call up because fighters are dropping out because of the travel restrictions and things.
Very,
and stuff
very
like that.
interesting. And I'm sure the protocols in any type of promotion is as stringent as they absolutely can be.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, with the UFC, for example, they've got to test clean twice before they can even head to the island. Then once they do get to the island, they're in isolation for a few days and they get tested the night before they fight. And if that comes back positive, they'll scrap it the night before they fight. So
Scrap it.
yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, Matt, so we're here in Homegrown, New Jersey, and it's jumping, as you can see. We had, people walking right by us. Why not?
Yeah.
It's not like we're not working or anything like that, right?
Of course, but you can't get in the way of a man and his beer.
That is 100% correct. And from what I understand, they got pretty good brew here, or what?
Yeah, absolutely they do. And I reckon it's about time we go and get ourselves a beer.
Why not? It's hot out. Let's go get a drink.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, now we're just chilling here with Mr. Matt Davies. Matt, what's so great about Homegrown Jersey City?
Mate, it's local. One of the things I miss being from Australia, it's where this crazy accent comes from, is that local feeling. And where else to get it than at a local bar?
Exactly. So I'm guessing this is just craft beer, good wine. I mean,
Yeah.
but certainly known for the craft beer, correct?
Absolutely, and everything's sourced from here in New Jersey.
Oh, really?
So it's all brought in from
Even
local
better,
breweries.
local. And look at this. We have a special delivery coming up. We have the lovely Maria. Maria, what are you bringing us here?
That's the Wayward Hillian from Ghost Hawk.
Very cool.
Local beer comes from Clifton, New Jersey. It's very good. They make a lot of great beers. Highly recommend.
Look at that. All right, Maria. So, Matt, should we do a little ching ching?
Absolutely, we should.
Absolutely. All right, let's
Cheers,
try
mate.
it out here. Nothing better.
Absolutely. Fresh,
Wow,
cold beer.
That's good.
Damn yeah.
On a 90-degree day, correct?
100%.
Exactly. Clifton,
What's
New
better?
Jersey, that's like 6 miles away. No, maybe like 9 miles.
Yeah, well, close enough.
Exactly. And Matt, you were telling me that this is a relatively new place, correct?
Yes, well, it's been the venue itself has been around for a while, but rebranding because they saw the need for local beers, for local food, for supporting local business, particularly with everything that the whole community's been through recently. We've got to look after local.
Unbelievable. Nothing better than local and local beer. Nothing better. All right, folks, when we come back, we have another special guest for you. You're not going to want to miss it. That's Frank Rosner. He'll be joining our political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Matt Davies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
MMA
you.
Industry Insider.
And beer lover.
And beer lover, apparently. Get over to Homegrown Jersey City, 150 Bay Street. What better? We'll be back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of The Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at The Pulse with Peter B. and make sure you like and follow us on there. We're constantly updating that page with new information. And also on Instagram, for all you grammars out there, make sure you follow us there as well. We're constantly putting these really cool stories, previewing all of our episodes. And if you don't want to DM us through our Instagram or message us through our Facebook, you can always email us. And that's at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Frank Rosner, and I am guest hosting for Peter B. And my guest, as usual on these segments, is Joshua Einstein Sotomayor. No relation to the genius or the Supreme Court judge.
Sotomayor Einstein, clearly you're no genius yourself.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to be here tonight. We're going to be talking about the Hoboken municipal budget for 2020. And I'd like to start off by asking Josh, well, I'm going to throw out some numbers for you. The 2019 budget was approximately, adopted budget was 117 million.6. The 2020 budget introduced to July 6th was 118 million. So that's a difference of what, 600 or a little under, half a million, let's say. Obviously, the 2020 hasn't been adopted. Now, that discrepancy seems very minor. But I want to ask you what you think about the budget, about the introduction of the budget and the numbers that you're aware of. What's going on with the bonding and the way it's mapped out? Not to mention the 36% tax that goes to the county, although they're indicating that that's not as high an increase. It comes out to $115 assessment on a $522,000 property.
So I, like the Ball administration, can count really high, but unlike the Ball administration, just because I can count really high doesn't mean I think the people of Hoboken should be taxed very high.
All right.
And it's kind of ridiculous that in these tough, trying economic times where a lot of people have lost their jobs, the city is jacking up taxes 10%. Or like 9.94%, something like that.
Right.
The same game that the Board of Education school board did, where they jacked up taxes right below 10%. Now they're playing the shell game that we've all seen in the movies and back when New York City was unsafe, and probably in the future when it's unsafe again, thanks to De Blasio, where you have move the what's it called, the ball under the three different cups.
Okay.
So they're saying because the county taxes isn't as much, the Ball administration is pushing out the mythology that, well, taxes aren't really going up that much, and they're pushing out the number something like 1.4% for the total tax bill. But what they don't want people to zone in on and focus on is that the municipal portion that they have control over
33%
has gone up. I mean, for this budget,
Right.
And it's just ridiculous, especially when you look at towns of our population elsewhere in the country or even in this area. They don't operate on a budget of $118 million. They operate in some places half that, and we just get like almost zero bang for our buck in this town.
Well, let me, based on what you just said, let me ask you this because I think it's highly relevant. I'm not sure if you do, but you'll respond to the question, of course. The Constituent Services Office was kiboshed, and it's the first time that I've been in Hoboken in almost 40 years. It's one of the few times that I've seen a council override a mayor, which was actually incredible. I can't remember the last time that the council put a veto on a mayor. Anyway, but that amount was approximately 96. I'm not sure what it was, but it was really insignificant when you look at the pie. Why do you think they did that? And as far as the fees and stuff, all these things that are going on, DeFusco, in factually, wants to do a forensic study of the budget.
Oh, that would be a wonderful idea. I think we need to really dig into what we're doing in City Hall with the people's dollars. But in terms of the City Council killing the Constituent Services Department, I think it's analogous to any sort of animal entering puberty. Their testicles have dropped.
Wow.
And they're letting it hang out there. And that's a good thing for the taxpayer, because everybody out there knows that we pay the salary of our public servants and our public employees. They are all involved in, or should all be aware that they're involved in constituent services. We don't need a different department that's, political appointees de facto, not de jure, but de facto political appointees that have a dual role of serving the administration and not the people of Hoboken. And I don't relish the idea that people lose their jobs. No one's celebrating that.
No, not at all.
But it's on the back of the taxpayer, and these people in the Ball administration or some of their toadies in the city council, like Phil Cohen, always complain about economic inequality in town. Well, if you keep on adding to people's costs of living by raising taxes or raising fees, or you engage in things that are a death by a thousand cuts, then guess what? You've made town economically uninhabitable for the lower end of the economic spectrum. So these people are A, hypocrites, B, untethered from reality, and C, don't care about what they do with the public money.
Well, interestingly enough, since you say that, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on the budget gap that we had or still have actually. So it went from 7 million to, I believe, 10 million. And then it went up to, my God, it was like 14 million. And that was over the course of maybe 2 or 3 months. Now, you can't attribute that whole gap to Corona.
Oh no. Well, in terms of Corona stuff, we received around $1.3 million in aid.
1.4.
$1.4 million. Thank you, from the federal government.
Right.
And the vast majority of
By
that
the way,
budget
the
hole-
freeholders had a good thing on that. They were able to get that money for us.
So,
just
I
want,
mean, listen,
just want to put that in there.
It's our tax dollar, so I don't have a problem with
It doesn't matter where it comes from as long as it comes.
Time of crisis and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, the Bala administration is disingenuously trying to pretend that the majority of the budget hole is coming from Corona, and they think because people are, distracted by the very scary numbers that, and the very scary situation that's very serious, that people won't pay attention. But like most of the nonsense that's going on, because we are in a serious time and we are facing a serious challenge, but there is a lot of noise being put out by everybody. I think the people of Hoboken are smart enough to know that this is nonsense, and they are smart enough to know when the Hudson River stinks. And down by City Hall, it stinks a lot.
Wow, what an analogy. That's
Well, everyone's been complaining about the dead fish
Wow.
along the river, and I agree, it smells rather rancid, and so does what's coming out.
Rancid?
So does what's coming out of the Bala administration.
all right. Everybody, look that up. Google it. Rancid. Wow, that's great. All right. So let me, based on that, I mean, as far as the conversation on the budget, let's go to about fees. It's the nickel and dime stuff. What is your estimation, or what is your take on all the little nickel and dime fees? I mean, it's a square mile town. And by the way, if we're talking of a budget gap, and I don't mean to be sarcastic, but I will be, about 80, 90, maybe 100% of those residents in Maxwell could probably pay off all the taxes in town.
I mean, listen, if you want to go down the path of Antifa and robbing the rich,
Antifa?
I think you have some allies in the Bala administration. But most people have common sense and understand you don't make everyone equally rich by stealing from those that have. You raise the bottom up,
Right.
and you do through grassroots economics, and that's what people, whether it's in Trenton or a lot of people in D.C. or in City Hall here, don't understand whatsoever.
So you're
If
not
you-
gonna be able
If you want to grow
to,
the tax base, you don't reach further and further into people's pockets. You allow them and you empower them to grow the community, to grow their businesses, And right now it's a tough time because our state is not technically shut down, but really de facto shut
Pretty
down.
shut down, yeah.
So it's a tough time, and it's irresponsible of the administration to go further into people's wallets.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. So your basic philosophy or conservative philosophy is to try to lift all boats.
Well, I don't think
And
it's
that's been since Reagan, which not many boats have been lifted as far as I
Oh,
can
a
tell.
ton. I mean, the historical amnesia that you're displaying
Well,
right
the-
now
the-
is very entertaining. And people,
Okay.
you can go to Wikipedia, you can go to Google. There's a lot of good research.
I got you. All right. Well, anyway, this is, again, it's Frank Rosner hosting for Peter B. We're going to cut off a little bit right now, and we'll be right back. Don't leave.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Make sure you watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. And also, every Sunday, 9:30 a.m., we post our new episode and our segments, our individual segments, on our YouTube page. You're not going to want to miss it. Please subscribe to our channel there. We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and we want to thank Frank Rosner in our last segment for special guest hosting. We hope to see Frank in a future segment with Josh, without Josh, who knows the way we're feeling that week. But joining us, and she hasn't been on the show in a while, and she's certainly donning the best mask that we've had on the show, is Krista Stucchio from #FoodPick. Krista, welcome back. How are you?
I'm so happy to be back.
Oh my God! So let me. How many compliments do you get from this mask?
People love this mask. I was like kind of nervous to get it because I was like, oh gosh, everyone's gonna stare. But at the same time, I don't really care. I think it's hilarious.
You know, and we just have to get it almost like branded for you, maybe with the Instagram hashtag.
Yes, yes. I should just like put it right across.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I'm gonna take it off for now.
All right, there you
Hear
go.
me a little bit better.
Oh, all right, all right. Breathe, breathe. It's like 95 degrees out here. So,
Feels amazing out though.
doesn't it?
Wow.
We're by the pier here at beautiful Maxwell Park, and
We're here.
wind's blowing.
It is.
Exactly. So speaking of outdoors, outdoor seating has been in effect for a number of weeks now, since I believe Monday, June 15th. I'm sure you have been out and about on the town. Your initial thoughts of outdoor seating?
I am in heaven.
Oh,
I everywhere I have gone has been amazing. Everything looks adorable. Everyone is being so safe. I mean, I told you I came here with notes because I didn't want to forget things that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But my first dining experience was at Elysian, and what's amazing
Which
about
is extremely close to our house.
extremely
no stalkers.
close,
No
extremely
stalkers.
close. That's all we will say right now.
Exactly.
But I had an amazing lobster roll that I had never
At
had their
Elysian?
lobster. Yes, and I had never had it before. Best lobster roll in Hoboken. I'm saying it right now. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And they have, so they actually have a 3D tour on their website, so you can see the whole outside layout before you even go. And they have so much space. Obviously, already they're on the corner, but they've got this new parklet now, and the flower beds are amazing, the string lights, it just looks amazing out
And
there.
the flower bed almost goes up 10th Street to Hudson Street, correct?
It does.
Wow, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's fun. So now, lobster roll, was that always a menu item? Or-
Yes, it
was.
always was. And I don't know what it was. I guess I just had other, my eye on other things on the menu, but I was like, okay, it's about to be summer, and this lobster roll sounds amazing. And it was, I'm telling you, the best one in town.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because it's, especially in Hoboken, I feel like it's very, very difficult to find a good lobster roll.
It is.
Or a lobster roll.
a lobster roll. Yeah,
mean-
you're so right there.
Exactly. So now, okay, so you started with Elysian.
Yes.
So when you went there the first time,
Mm-hmm.
did you notice that people were kind of being weary of each other? That that they were taking social distancing to
A
a
little
whole
bit.
other level?
Yeah. I mean, I even sitting there at the table, I felt a little bit like, okay, I knew that the waiter had to come over to me pretty close, and I knew it was okay because they had a mask on, but it was, it was a little weird at first. But I was just happy to be dining, and they were thrilled to have us there. So that was really comforting.
Very, very comforting. All right, where else? Let's see. I'm sure if you're moving and weaving along that block, did you possibly hit up Anthony David's?
I have. I went to breakfast there.
Not that I was stalking her Instagram.
Yeah, I did go to Anthony David's. They had the QR codes. You just snap a picture of it, and the menu pops up on your phone. Which
Also,
is
there's no touchable
there's
menus.
no menus.
Interesting.
It's awesome. Honestly, I kind of hope they do it forever.
So then, and they have, of course, a little parklet there.
Yes.
Okay.
Also beautiful. Probably the first one that I saw actually being constructed.
Exactly.
So
It's like, what did we do wrong, Krista? We should have gone into the plywood business, correct?
I know, right? They're thriving right now.
Thriving is not the. So now, what did you have there? You said you went there for breakfast.
Oh gosh, I had a panini. I think it was a burrata panini, and I added an egg.
Cool.
Major key. You gotta have it. You gotta have the egg.
You gotta have the egg.
Yeah. And I had some coffee, and it was amazing. I was just
Only
sitting there in
coffee?
the sunshine after a workout.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Only coffee? You didn't go for the Little Bloody Mary, or?
I did not. It was a work day.
Ah. And
I
so you're
couldn't
still
start that
working
early.
from home. Gotcha.
Yes, I am working from home.
Gotcha. Or else? Where else?
Where else? Okay, so I tried out Chango Kitchen.
Wow.
And they replaced Zafra's. They're very new. They haven't been open
By
for.
the hospital, I believe they are.
They are near. They're by Zach's.
Zach's. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
getting
literally
confused.
right by
Yes.
Zach's.
It's so new. I don't know where it is.
It's
yeah.
so new, and it's BYO. So
Okay, cool.
we grabbed a bottle of wine. They make you sangria right, table side. Portions were great. Everyone was super nice and super safe with their gloves and their masks. So that was a super great first experience.
All right, cool. Now, and what type of cuisine is it?
So it's like tapas.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
so I got some yuca fries. I can't remember the name of my main dish, but it was something with pork.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I'm sure anything with pork at the Tapas place
Oh
is
my
phenomenal.
gosh,
And
yes.
that's also something that Hoboken's lacking because you have Lola's, of course, 14th Street.
Totally. Yep.
I mean, great tapas, by the way. Love Andrea, the
Oh,
owner,
yeah.
for years. And then not really much else.
Nope.
Oh, you do have Cucharamama. Which,
Yes, which is nearby actually, and surprisingly, I've never gone.
Is that
So
true?
that's another thing on my list. Yes. Which, speaking of lists, I'm just gonna plug this right now.
Okay, go
Before you know, we did the whole outdoor dining thing. I did very extensive research, and I actually made a guide of 130 places that were opening for outdoor dining in town. There's more than this now, but at the time it was 130, and oh my gosh, I spent so much time on it, and people ended up sharing it a lot. So it actually was well received, and it's still floating around. So if you ever need some inspiration on where
Where do
outdoor
people find
dine, it's on my Instagram.
At #foodpick.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's so funny because Krista actually did reach out to me through text, and she's like, is your father doing some outdoor dining? I was like,
Yep.
not only is he doing outdoor dining, but he's got Napoli's so you
Yep.
could see sharing
Which
his
is super
space.
cool. Yeah.
Exactly. So was there any place that you went to, Krista, that you really felt was different than before the pandemic started?
Honestly, everywhere feels a little bit different. Like, I mean, even just the whole like spacing out of Elysian is very interesting because they already have such a big space, and then it was like even more spaced out. And it's just everywhere that has a QR code, you're like, wow, this is like fancy and upscale. So that was really cool. And Grand Vin, like they had an iPad with their drink menu. You know, everyone's just thinking outside the box and getting really creative. And like, you know, it's almost like a blessing in disguise. I feel like a lot of these restaurants are going to take, you know, they're going to learn so much from this, and it's going to help business in the long run.
Exactly. Well, you wonder for those people who are not technologically savvy.
Yeah,
You know? It's like,
exactly.
you got the QR code, and
Yeah,
you're like, what
yeah.
the heck is this? You know, I'm sure you're asking your
Now
neighbor.
it's time to learn.
What better time to
time to
learn during the
learn.
pandemic,
Yep.
right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And would you say that any of the restaurants have kind of changed their menu? Did they kind of expand or do
Yeah.
something differently during the pandemic?
So I know that Elysian kept their standard menu. I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure everything is on it, and they kind of just wanted to feel it out, see how things went, and then they were going to decide whether they wanted to add in new specials or cut some things out. And I think some places are also just kind of trimming down a little bit, just make things a little bit more concise, a little easier on staff since there's so many adjustments. So, you know, they're just kind of rolling with the punches, and we have to do the same.
Exactly. And it was, and I'm sure you would agree with this, but it's so great to see the Hobo community really responded
Yes.
to the restaurants reopening.
Yep.
There were people everywhere, I feel.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And everyone's so thrilled to post about it. Actually, another place, I was just there this morning, Cafe Vista, brand new.
Where's that?
On 5th and Monroe.
Fifth and Monroe. get
Brand
over
new.
it.
And I reached out to them before they were even open to see about outdoor dining. And they do have it now, and their grand opening was just this past weekend. And, you know, taking precaution too, like being super
Cafe
safe
Vista, I'm
over
guessing
there.
a coffee shop or?
Yes. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. I think it's like mostly their focus is like Turkish coffee.
Turkish.
Yes. I've tried so many things there now. Lots of avocado toast, amazing. Lots of salads, different like teas and coffees, and it's all vintage vibes. So they have a record player in there, and it's kind of screaming for an Instagram photo shoot.
There you go. Well,
So-
Krista Stucchio, we're so happy to have you back on, and
I'm so happy.
I need you back on in the future.
Yes.
All right.
Very soon.
#foodpick. Get on there, follow her. Don't get too close to the Elysian, and that's all that good stuff. Folks, thank you again for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
Join us next week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. Have a great week, everybody. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at the Pulse with Peter B, and make sure you like and follow us on there. We're constantly updating that page with new information, and also on Instagram for all you grammars out there. Make sure you follow us there as well. We're constantly putting these really cool stories, previewing all of our episodes. And if you don't want to DM us through our Instagram or message us through our Facebook, you can always email us. And that's at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.